Until the dawn of the 20th century, European nations basked in a 30-year era of relative peace. Commencing from the mid-19th century, European leaders and peace organizations tirelessly endeavored to steer clear of wars, aspiring to establish enduring harmony across the continent. This collective pursuit fostered the belief that the confluence of material and intellectual development had brought an end to the culture of wars in Europe. However, the second decade of the 20th century shattered this illusion as Europe found itself engulfed in a war, later coined as the Great War, due to its expansion beyond the confines of Europe. Causes of war: tensions in Europe, nationalism. At the outset of the 20th century, an ostensible peace veiled Europe, yet lurking behind were anti-peace factors that gradually propelled the continent into war. Fierce nationalist rivalries erupted among the great powers of Europe, with competition for markets and border disputes, such as France's discontent with the German occupation of Alsace and Lorraine. Imperialism. Another factor contributing to the war in Europe was the intense competition among European nations for colonies in Africa and Asia. This rivalry over overseas possessions deepened mutual distrust among European countries. Arms race. The early 20th century witnessed a perilous arms race in Europe, where possessing a formidable army became synonymous with greatness. By 1914, all major powers, excluding Great Britain, had amassed large armies. Different alliances. Since the 1870s, the great powers of Europe had been forming various military alliances due to mutual rivalries and mistrust. Initially designed to ensure peace through a balance of power, these alliances later became a catalyst for war. Bismarck and the Allies. From 1864 to 1871, Chancellor Bismarck of Prussia pursued a policy known as blood and iron to unify Germany. After unifying Germany in 1871, Bismarck aimed to establish peace in Europe. He considered France a significant threat and allied with Austria-Hungary, later forming the tripartite alliance with Italy. In 1881, Bismarck made a treaty with Russia, changing alliances. In 1890, a significant shift occurred in German policy when Kaiser William II came to power, removing Bismarck. The termination of the treaty with Russia led to a defensive alliance between Russia and France. This shift alarmed Britain, leading to an alliance with France. By 1907, two opposing camps had formed in Europe. As the war unfolded, two land fronts emerged in Europe. The Western Front pitted Germany against France, while on the Eastern Front, multiple nations faced Russia. The naval front primarily played out in the North Atlantic, where Germany and Great Britain confronted each other. Although the initial battlefield was concentrated in Europe, the conflict quickly spread to Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. In 1914, Japan declared war on Germany, seizing its possessions in China and the Pacific Ocean. Britain and France attacked 4 German possessions in Africa, recruiting soldiers from their colonies for war campaigns in Asia and Africa. Despite Austria and Germany's anticipation of a swift victory, their conjecture proved erroneous. The entry of the United States into the war tipped the scales in favor of the Allies. Concurrently, events in Russia, including the abdication of the Tsar and the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, paved the way for German success on the Eastern Front. However, war-weary Russia withdrew from the conflict, signing the Brest-Litovsk Treaty with Germany in March 1918. With Russia and Romania exiting the war on the Eastern Front, Germany concentrated its forces on the Western Front. A last major offensive against France in March 1918 brought German forces close to Paris. However, exhaustion and dwindling resources led to the Allies' counterattack, with fresh American forces making a significant impact. By October 1918, internal revolutions erupted against the Austrian monarchy, and Germany witnessed uprisings against Kaiser Germany. On November 9, 1918, the Kaiser was deposed, and Germany declared itself a republic. Representatives of the new government reached a ceasefire agreement with the French commander, Marshal Foch, culminating in the end of the First World War on November 11, 1918, with the victory of the Allies. The Treaty of Versailles imposed strict and somewhat humiliating conditions on Germany. It deprived Germany of certain territories and possessions in Africa and East Asia, in addition to enforcing a restricted military and imposing heavy war reparations. Although the Paris Conference birthed the League of Nations, aiming to prevent future wars through collective security and disarmament, the organization fell short of achieving its fundamental objectives. While the conditions imposed on Germany by the Treaty of Versailles were harsh and humiliating, the Germans did not passively accept this treatment. In the subsequent decade, Adolf Hitler emerged as a radical spokesperson for German nationalism, with one of the main causes of World War II traced back to the treatment of Germany under the Treaty of Versailles.